There was a lavish supply, divinely planned for each individual, and the rich man is already tapping into it now. Thoughts shape our surroundings. When you change your thoughts, your entire world and the conditions around you transform instantly. Your world is a world of crystallized ideas, crystallized words. Sooner or later, you always reap the fruits of thoughts. Words are bodies or forces, moving spirally and returning in due season to cross the lives of their creators. People always talking, who lack in limitations will always reap lack in limitation. You cannot enter abundance by always bemoaning your situation. I know a woman who always felt limited in her ideas of prosperity. She kept wearing old clothes, was careful with money, and often told her husband not to spend much. She said repeatedly, "I don't want anything I can't afford." She couldn't afford much, so she never really had much. Suddenly her whole world cracked up. Her husband left her, weary of her nagging and those limited, narrow thoughts. She was in despair when one day she found a book on metaphysics explaining the power of thought and words. She realized she had invited every unhappy experience into her life by wrong thinking. She laughed at her mistakes and decided honestly to profit by them all. She set out to prove the law of abundance, using her money fearlessly, showing faith in her invisible supply. She relied upon God as the source of her prosperity, trusting fully in Him. She no longer voiced lack. She kept herself feeling and looking prosperous every day. When her old friend saw her, he scarcely recognized her transformation. Sid swung into the way of abundance. Suddenly, more money came to her than ever before. Unheard of doors opened, and amazing new channels were freed for her. She became very successful in a line of work she had no training for, and truly found herself on miracle ground. What had happened? She had changed the quality of her words and thoughts. She had taken God into her confidence, bringing God into every part of her daily affairs. She had many 11th hour demonstrations, but her supply always came, for she dug ditches and gave thanks faithfully. Someone called me recently and said, "I'm looking for our position." I replied, "Don't look for it desperately, just wait." Seek it with praise and thanksgiving, for Jesus Christ, the greatest metaphysician, taught us to pray with praise and thanksgiving. Praise and thanksgiving open the gates. Expectancy always truly wins. The law is impersonal. A dishonest person with rich thoughts may attract riches. But as Shakespeare says, ill-gotten gains never last, and will not bring true happiness. We have only to read the daily papers to see that the way of the transgressor is always hard. That is why it's so necessary to make your demands a right on the universal supply and ask for what is yours by divine right and under grace, in perfect ways. Some people attract prosperity, but they just cannot hold on to it. Sometimes they lose it through fear or worry. A friend in one of my question and answer classes once told this story. Some people in his hometown, always poor, suddenly struck oil in their backyard at Broadway Ridges. So, the father joined the country club and took up golf. But he was no longer young. The exercise was simply too much, and he dropped dead on the links. This filled the whole family with fear. They decided they might have heart trouble, so now they're in bed with nurses watching every heartbeat. People must worry about something, no longer worried about money. They shifted their worries to health. The old idea was you can't have everything. If you got one thing, you'd lose another. People always said your luck won't last. It's too good to be true. Jesus Christ said, "In the world there's tribulation, but be of good cheer, for I have truly overcome the world."